Adam and Eve. What if the snake was the hero? The truth about consciousness. Here's a story I wrote called The Forbidden Choice. Imagine you're standing in front of two doors. One door leads to a perfect, carefree life. No pain, no struggle, just endless comfort. The other door, it leads to uncertainty, hardship, and struggle, but also growth, wisdom, and knowledge. Which one would you choose? Most people might say the first, but deep down, we know the truth. Growth comes from struggle, and wisdom is born from choice. This dilemma reminds me of the ancient story of Adam and Eve, one we've all heard growing up. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the snake wasn't the villain at all, but the misunderstood hero? What if the fall wasn't a curse, but a gift? The spark that gave humanity its consciousness, its ability to think, question, and create. Today we're going to dive deep into this idea. We're going to look at the story of Adam and Eve through the lens of psychology, philosophy, and spirituality. We'll talk about Lucifer, the snake, and the very nature of consciousness itself. Prepare for a journey that might just change the way you see the world. But before we get started, what's up? My name's Nick Jackson, and my channel is here to give you insights on philosophy, psychology, conspiracy, and spirituality. If any of those things are interesting to you, subscribe to my channel and make sure you like the video to help push me forward in the algorithm. If you have a thought on anything from the video, then start a conversation down in the comments below. Let's set the stage. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden, a paradise where everything is perfect. They're innocent, blissful, and obedient, until the snake comes along. The snake tempts Eve to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, despite God's warning. She shares it with Adam, and suddenly their eyes are opened. They see the world in a new way. They realize they're naked, vulnerable, and flawed. God punishes them by casting them out of paradise, and humanity has been doomed to struggle ever since. At least that's what we've been told. But here's the question. Why was knowledge forbidden in the first place? Why would an all-powerful, all-loving creator want to keep humanity in ignorance? And what does that say about the snake, or even Lucifer, the figure often associated with rebellion, knowledge, and free will? Let's flip the narrative. The snake gave Adam and Eve the gift of consciousness, the ability to know good and evil, to question their surroundings, and to see reality for what it is. Before eating the fruit, Adam and Eve were like children, unaware, passive, and dependent. They lived in blissful ignorance. But the snake, representing knowledge and transformation, shattered that illusion. Eating the fruit was the moment they became human. They gained free will, the power to choose their actions and to think independently. It was the beginning of consciousness itself. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Man is the most courageous animal because he is not content with mere existence. He demands meaning." In this sense, the snake didn't curse humanity, it awakened them. It gave us the power to find meaning, even in a world full of chaos and uncertainty. Think about this. Would you rather live in a perfect garden unaware of your own potential, or face the real world with all its challenges and opportunities for growth? Let's talk about Lucifer for a moment. The name itself means light bearer, or morning star. In many interpretations, Lucifer is a figure who questions authority and who rebels against blind obedience. Sound familiar? The snake in Eden did the same thing, challenging the status quo, offering humanity a choice. Now, before we dive too deep, let's get one thing clear. This isn't about glorifying evil, it's about exploring the deeper meaning of symbols. In many traditions, including Gnosticism, Lucifer represents enlightenment, the willingness to seek truth even when it's uncomfortable. Carl Jung described this archetype as the shadow, the parts of ourselves we're afraid to confront. We all have a snake within us, the part of us that questions, that rebels, that seeks to know. And as painful as it can be, that's where growth happens. In psychology, gaining self-awareness is often described as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows us to improve, to grow, and to understand our purpose. On the other hand, it brings pain, because we become aware of our flaws, our mortality, and the suffering of life. This is what happened to Adam and Eve. When their eyes were open, they felt shame for the first time. They realized they were naked, vulnerable, imperfect, and human. And yet that's also what makes us beautiful. Without consciousness, there is no art, no music, no love, no innovation. As Viktor Frankl wrote, those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. The snake gave us the why. It forced us to step out of paradise and into the real world, where meaning is created, not given. I remember a time in my life when I was living on autopilot. I wasn't questioning anything. I was just going through the motions. It felt comfortable, but it also felt empty. Then something happened that shook me to my core. It forced me to ask myself, who am I and what do I want from life? It was painful. I felt exposed just like Adam and Eve. But looking back, that moment of awakening was the best thing that ever happened to me. It made me realize that comfort isn't the goal, growth is. As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Here's a thought to blow your mind. What if the Garden of Eden represents a controlled state of existence? A place where humans are obedient, unquestioning, and easily managed. And what if the snake, representing knowledge and free will, was a threat to that control? Think about modern society. How often are we encouraged to stay comfortable, to follow the rules, to avoid questioning authority? The snake reminds us that real freedom comes from thinking for ourselves, even when it's risky. The story of Adam and Eve is not just about a fall, it's about a journey. We fell into consciousness, yes, but maybe that's exactly what we needed. The struggle to understand ourselves, to reconnect with the divine, is what gives life meaning. As Rumi beautifully said, don't grieve. Anything you lose comes around in another form. Paradise wasn't lost forever, it exists within us, through our choices, our awareness, and our growth. So what if the snake wasn't the villain? What if it was the catalyst for everything that makes us human? Our consciousness, our creativity, and our free will. Maybe the real lesson of the story is to embrace the snake within us, to ask questions, to seek knowledge, and to create meaning in a world that doesn't hand it to us. In the end, we're all like Adam and Eve. We've been cast out of comfort, but given the chance to create something extraordinary. As always, thanks for watching. Value learning, keep growing, and success will come. If this video sparked something in you, share it with someone who loves deep ideas and start a conversation in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.